Well, good morning. Today, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this old YJ Wrangler. While Chris is getting pretty much all the final pieces put back together on the Tundra, so hopefully we can fire that up later and see how that runs. We got to figure out why this one doesn't start. So I don't have a lot of information on it. I just know that it's a possible fuel delivery issue or something along those lines. So we're going to do some diagnosing. We're going to dig into it and then see what it would take to fix it. So what do you say? If that sounds like fun, why don't you stick around? And let's dive in and see what we can figure out, shall we? Hi, and welcome back to Jeeping for Beginners. So today we're going to try to figure out why this Jeep doesn't start. So first things first, whenever you're diagnosing anything, is you got to test the problem first and see exactly what it's doing. So let's see what it sounds like and what we're dealing with for the no start, shall we? All right. So the motor turns over. Sounds like we've got power to the starter. All the gauges light up. Um, I'm not sure how much you could hear from the motor while we were cranking it, but it does sound like pretty good compression. So we may be right. This may be a fuel delivery issue. So we're going to start at the front, at the throttle body assembly, and chase our way back to the gas tank. Hopefully it's not in the gas tank because according to this gauge, the tank is full. But whatever the case may be, we got to figure out why the motor is starving for fuel. And if we can get fuel to the engine, it should fire right up. So let's get started on the front, shall we? All right, guys. So the nice thing about these older Jeeps is they were super, super simple. There's really nothing to them. You take the top of the intake tube off. The throttle body assembly is right here and easy to access and easy to get to. So we'll take a look, and we are actually extremely dry in here. So even though we tried to start this a couple of times, I see no evidence that there is any fuel in this throttle body whatsoever. So I'm going to go with, the problem may not be up here at the throttle body. Your fuel lines are directly behind the throttle body assembly. You've got your main fuel line for fuel coming in, and you got your return line for the unused or unburnt fuel that needs to run its way back to the tank. From what I can tell, these are extremely clean. They are not wet. I don't see any leaks, and there's no corrosion. So we very well may be looking deeper and further back on the vehicle. Oh, that sucks. So now this is Chris's old Jeep. So the history that we do have on it is it was running absolutely fantastic until he filled up the tank. Now, just being somebody in the automotive industry, I can tell you that usually if you've got a bad fuel pump or a bad fuel sending unit, it usually rears its ugly head when you fill up the tank, which is such a pain in the butt. Now, on modern day vehicles, just about everything made after, we'll say, 2005 or even 2010 and newer, manufacturers were smart enough to put access in the back of the vehicle through the floorboards to get you to the fuel pump so that you can continue diagnosing and or replace parts if necessary. This, however, is pre-1990, which means they didn't think about that kind of stuff back then. So the fuel tank, which sits up underneath and is full, in order for us to continue our diagnosis process, we're either going to have to use the scope, look on top of it, or we're going to have to drop that tank down to see if, one, we've got power to the fuel pump, and two, if it's actually spitting fuel, and the problem is in turn between the gas tank and the front. So I'm going to grab a set of tools. I already got some cardboard down. Let me see what I can do about getting access above the tank. so that we can see what's going on with the fuel pump, and we'll kind of take it from there. All right, guys, so I got a little carried away with trying to figure out exactly why we weren't getting fuel to the motor. So I didn't film a whole lot of what I did for diagnostics, but let me go ahead and explain it to you. We had started off by saying that there was no fuel up at the throttle body assembly. So we wanted to take a look at the fuel pump. So I did get a chance to lower the tank just a little bit. I put the scope up there so I could take a look. Everything is connected. There's no leaks. There's no corrosion, which is weird for being up here in the Northeast. But I also noticed that it was also extremely dry. So just out of curiosity, I went and I cycled the key a few times while looking through the scope and listening, and I never heard the fuel pump turn on. So that brought us back up under the hood. On a 1989 Wrangler battery, you've only got 2 relays. Okay, one of them is for the starter, the other one is for the fuel pump assembly. So when I took the relay out, I saw, and I don't know if you can see that we have power going to the relay. However, turns out we had no power going from the relay. So I made a little jumper wire and I jumped from the number 1 pin to the number 6 pin on this, and the fuel pump immediately turned on and the truck immediately fired up and came to life. So it turned out to be a really simple solution, is we just need a relay. So I'm going to run down to the parts store real quick. I'm going to pick up a relay for this, pop this in. We're going to test fire it up, see if it works, and we'll go from there. All right, let's give this a shot. Oh, look at that. She runs. Wow, nice. And there you have it. It was actually quite simple. Just needed a relay. We got fuel to the motor. I'm sure you can hear it in the background because it's an awfully loud little Jeep, but it's running. We're going to let it warm up, make sure we don't have any other issues, and then take it for a quick spin and make sure everything is working. So short and sweet. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope that answers some questions if anybody has a similar issue with their particular YJ. Otherwise, in the meantime, stay safe, happy Jeeping, and we will see you next week. How's it feel to have a Jeep back and running? Oh, that was a little scary.
A little bit of unburned fuel in the exhaust, but there's no catalytic converter whatsoever, you know. It feels good to have it moving under its own power again.
Nice.